You are compelled to listen.
Oh, no, don't start with... See, you speak to the devil's tongue and you think it's a joke, but it's real.
Compelled.
You're here being handled by business.
You will listen, you will listen.
Yes. Will you just cut it out and talk normal?
You will listen to
See,
me.
this is what I'm
Every
talking
chance you get,
You are
every
thinking it's a
minute.
joke.
You will keep your radio, you will turn the volume up even
You
higher.
think it's a big joke, but you're tearing down the foundations of our nation.
The entire
Very
foundation
funny.
around
Very
our
funny.
ears.
Okay, you are tuned in to the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show, and I'm your host, V. And I have my co-host here with me, Bill the Butcher, and Bo Corbett. Now, I want to apologize to the audience for us not being here. Situation out of my hand. I want to say, I have had the situation follow me around radio stations that I've been to where power lines and lines get cut and that sort of thing. It literally has followed me around. And more so than I would like, and it's pretty obvious. And I know I have some people scared. Some people in some very high places because of the knowledge that I hold. The things that I talk about. Yeah, I mean, I know it's scary. I mean, I'm turning your psychological operations into a scary game. I am. I mean, y'all think hell is hot? I'm the god of the Serengeti. So, just a warning to those who want to get in the way of the progress of this show. For those of you who want to make my show sporadic, no, I'm going to be here. The Republic Broadcast Network is the home of the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. I have no plans of going anywhere else with this radio show. We're going to be here. You don't hear us on one night? Hey, technical difficulties, okay? Other than that, you keep it dialed here on this station, especially at this hour. So I had to get that off my chest. I was so anxious to have Devin Devine on the show last night, and he's a TI who's extremely relevant, well known within the TI community, and had a lot of things to say. I'm pretty sure we would have hashed out a lot of things. So I just know with these people doing their InfraGard sabotage, because that's what it is. If you people don't know what an InfraGard is, look up FBI, InfraGard, agencies such as the NSA, FBI, will put an operative somewhere in every field, whether it's a construction worker, all the way to your cable guy, phone company. There is a snitch, InfraGard snitch, somewhere who has been unofficially deputized and is getting a little kickback here and there for being on their knees, giving favors. So that's just how that works. So I don't want to waste too much time in the segment. We have Joyce the Voice here with us. Are you on the line, Joyce?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Can you hear me? Okay.
I hear you just
I didn't
well.
know if I should go on speakerphone or if I should just keep it to my ear.
You sound good to me.
Okay.
So you have actually done a recording with me on my TV show, the TV version of this show.
Yeah.
And
I don't know that it aired. It was so crazy.
No.
Yeah.
No, it didn't, because you had so much information that it's just, I couldn't stop you from talking. the questions we're racking up. It's like you've got to write a book. You've got to do like
Yes,
a
I
tour
do.
with this story. It's with so much information. It went 2 hours, and I still couldn't do anything with it because it was so long.
Was it 2 hours? I don't even remember.
Well, and
Well,
I
I
do know
did start a
that
book,
ladies
and then
tend
I
to be very
lost it.
expressive. Well, I do know that ladies
Yeah.
tend to be very expressive with their emotions, and it's hard to stay fact and event orientated. So I'm going to give you a shot here on this show, and I'm going to want my co-host to take the lead with the questioning because I know your story more than they do. So I'm going to let you go ahead and for this first segment here, let you tell your story, and I want my co-host to jump in with questions. So go ahead.
Okay, so I'll give you a brief summary, just like a couple paragraphs, and then we'll take it from there. So I'll give you a really super condensed version of it. Okay. So basically, I had this is like the tip of the iceberg. I secretly recorded doctors catching them secretly performing illegal and unethical surgery biopsies, and they slipped me an abortion pill. And I did not yet know that I was pregnant. I knew I knew other things were going on, but we'll get into that. And while I was under sedation for a simple echocardiogram procedure, I was supposed to be just sedated, but they knocked me out. And because of suspicions due to things that were happening prior to that, and other things they had done to me, I had secretly recorded them, and that's because my stuff was in a bag under the gurney and not in a locker. Now they lock everything. This was probably to be able to do, the reason why they slipped me the pill was probably to do the tests on me that they wanted to do, because there was a number of other things, like I said, prior to that I was catching them on that they were screwing up on. So if I was pregnant, they couldn't do what they were doing to me. So they knew that I didn't know yet, so they slipped me the pill, although I found out when I heard the recording, and I had the miscarriage. So basically, I've been blacklisted medically and legally through the corrupt family court system. They have rallied my family to think that I was crazy. Now, my family just hears me crying, long distance, because they're not local. They didn't see what I was going through. And they were believing the doctors, of course. How could I know anything? But they weren't with me at my appointments. They didn't see the tests that I was getting, and they didn't see what was happening. And yes,
and for the audience,
like I
want the audience to know really quickly, a target individual is just the same as a person blacklisted. So just so you guys know.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, a TI, exactly. So I'm not used to referring to myself like that. So anyway, my family, with the prompting of the doctors, they didn't even call themselves. They got my family roped in to get CPS involved, Child Protective Services, and but they themselves, I mean, it's another story. But if they really felt so compelled that I was, having a problem, then why didn't they make a call? But then it turns out my one doctor who threatened me, and I have it all recorded, did threaten to call Adult Protective Services, but they wouldn't take the case because CPS was already called. And but basically what happened is this happened in New York State on Long Island, and the Department of Health refused to investigate, as well as the police. They refused to investigate. I had not gone to the Federal Bureau of FBI. I called them several times, left messages. They would never pass them on. So the family court was actually protecting the doctors. They, of course, I did not know at the time, were also incentivized financially through Title IV funding, which makes it a business, trafficking to foster care. So and just a little background about me. My name is Joyce the Voice because I sing, and it's not because I sing. It actually started with me telling people Joyce the Voice so they could remember my name, and I was just starting to get my voice back because of all the stuff that happened to me. I did lose my voice and ability to sing. I also lost my ability to play guitar, and I recovered it all. I got it back, and I'm doing better than I was before. So I thank God for that. And a lot of the songs that I do sing are for, like, a third of the songs I dedicate towards family rights and protesting corrupt courts, corrupt government, and so forth. You know, I'm a truther. I'm an occupational therapist by trade. I'm highly educated in my field. I went to graduate school at Columbia University, undergraduate at Quinnipiac, and then I had an associate's at Maria Regina College. So I'm highly educated in my field. So, you know, but what they said sounded crazy about me and my health. I was panicking, and I was sick, but they weren't telling me what was going on. So we'll start there, I guess. I don't know if you want me to. I mean, that's my summary of what happened. So basically, yeah, they were trying to call me crazy to undermine my sanity.
Well, I think we need to save that for part 2 because you're going to be on for tomorrow night. Let's stick to the pregnancy and the finding out that you had cancer. So,
okay. Well, it started out. Now, I don't know. All right. Now, I have a positive cancer antigen, and my PET scans glow like a Christmas tree. That's what the doctor told me. It's like, it glows like a Christmas tree. And so that's where I got that expression from a doctor. And I had a whole bunch of other stuff going on. And I don't know what I still have going on, but you know what? I'm still here. And what I think I have discovered, I did discover that they did things, that they were photoshopping on radiology images, for one. Absolutely, without having to know how to read something. I know that they were photoshopping, and I can give you very easy examples of how I know that. One time, I went in for an MRI, and your arm gets strapped to your body. They were doing an MRI of my upper arm because I had a clot in my arm, and I had some lumps in my arm. Whether or not that was from leaking blood, my arm wasn't purple and bruised looking, so Lord knows what those clumps were. Were they clots? Maybe. But they said that I did have something with clots in my arm with the ultrasound, so they did a MRI. And but when the MRI came out, I always got a copy of the disc when I finish, and my arm looked swirly. I'm like, why do I have a swirly arm? I have a straight arm. My arm's not swirly. And then, so they retook the pictures the following week. I said, you know, there's something really odd about these pictures, why they did. So the next week they put me in the machine again, same way, strapped to my body, because, you know, it's a narrow tube that you go into the MRI. And I come out, and now on the first set of pictures, I have, you know, I'm pretty gifted on top. I'm pretty breasty, and my breast tissue did hang over on my arm. Because, you know, wear a bra, and so when your arm is squished to your body, a little bit hung over, and I could see it looked like not good to me because it was an MRI, and I could see, like, what's happening with my breast. I'm like, what the hell? And so I said something to the doctor, too, about that. The next time I went in, the following week, my arm looked like it was 45 degrees moved away from my body, and the breast tissue wasn't there. It was cut off. But I know my breast was hanging on my arm the same way. So then when you look at the pictures, also, when you scroll through the images that slice down your arm, when it got to number, I'm just going to throw a number, 68, slice number 68, 69 started from the same exact images from the week before. They stamped copies from the week before, so they were hiding something. So they didn't take...
So what you're saying is that you got all the pictures as soon as they were done from the tech, on the CD.
Yeah, they would always make me wait.
What they're showing you later.
Yeah, they would always make me wait. They would make me wait. The first time they didn't, but the second time they made me wait. I had to wait like an hour to get my desk.
The second time, because they know that they're covering stuff up. Okay.
They did that to my son as well. My son had a CAT scan at Stony Brook University, and it was on his birthday. I don't remember what day it was, but early in the morning we had an ENT appointment, and later that afternoon he sent us straight to Stony Brook to get a CAT scan of his sinuses. We get the CAT scan. They make us wait like an hour. They shower him with gifts because we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and they know it's his birthday. They shower him with gifts. And when I get the disc, I notice that they cropped it. They made the images. They put it in a round frame, and then they put some in a square frame. I'm like, why did they crop these pictures? Why is this so unusual? Why did they do this? And then when you get to the last few pictures of one of the series of images, you could see the template. They laid a template on, so they actually layered the picture, so they were playing with it. The template of the skull goes outside of the cropped frame. So why would that be when nothing else goes outside? And why would the skull be so perfectly white and not have any marrow or anything like that? So they're messing with his pictures too. So I know that and I have even more proof of those other things, but that's just, I have a whole download of a file. I found a hidden file in my PET scan with 32 pages of commands of, I don't know what kind of language, some kind of computer language, next image, next series, next image, next photos, magnification 800, that's pixel size, template, insert outside black, all these types of things that I do understand, next image, next series. And then I found a back door accidentally, it took me 3 days later to find it again, of hidden images or hidden series of pictures that weren't on the main menu when you insert it. And I wrote down how I found it, so I figured it out. And so now I found that there were other images that they weren't showing me. But now everything is digital, and so doctors can see directly. They have on your disc patient copy. It's not for examination. It's but the doctors go straight through. Now, when I sat in with this vascular surgeon for my arm, I sat in his office. I sat for 5 hours. I thought he was coming on to me. He's brand new in the practice. He's not a young doctor, but he's new to the group. He came from upstate, and he came to Long Island. And I think they put him on this task to find out about me. And so because they asked me a lot of questions about my family, and I'm like, oh, that's why I thought he was coming on to me. I'm like, hey, he's not. Little did I even think he was investigating. But then he called up the radiologist.
Well, and you said it right there, too, because you stated earlier that your family seems to have been turned against you with certain information, or it seems like that they have gotten information. They wouldn't support you because they thought you were crazy. And that's what it seemed like, an interrogation, right? He should be asking you all these questions about your family.
Yeah.
Unless
my
it
parents,
was to
here he's a vascular surgeon. Why is he asking me about my family, where I grew up? I found out, and he found out, that we grew up with 2 towns, our next town over, next high school over. We knew the same church. Yes, it got very, very personal. However, he wasn't being mean. He was actually helpful towards me. He tried to be, and then he ran. He ran when it came time for court, and he went MIA from work.
Because he was an informant.
Practice.
Pretty much.
No, I don't know.
He was the good. There's the good cop, bad cop. You didn't get to look at the bad cop, but you got the good cop who got all information.
I think he didn't want to get involved. I think he found out that he liked me, and I'll tell you why. Because he called up this radiology group to get the password so he can look on his computer instead of looking on my desk. And he said, by the way, to the technician, if I have a seminar to present and I want to show XYZ images, because I showed him that they're photoshopping, he goes, will you be able to take off this information or make something look bigger for me? And they said, yes, we can do that. We do it all the time. Hold on.
We have to go to a commercial break, and we're going to dig more into this when we come back.
I'm making it. I'm making it.
Okay, now we are back from commercial break, and go ahead, Gus.
Yeah, this is Will here. Thanks, Bill, for letting me get this question. And this is our short segment here. So I wanted to ask, why did these people start targeting you in the first place? Was there any particular thing? What was the catalyst for it all?
I think it was a series of missing things. I definitely was stricken by Lyme disease, and they'd never diagnosed it or treated me. But then I think because of that, my immune system also triggered a bunch of other things that went on. I was put on stimulant medication for sleeping because I couldn't stay awake. I mean, I was affected neurologically. My heart was affected. Everything was affected. But then Lord knows what else was going on because I was having a lot of other stuff. Now, was that from the medication? Was it from cancer? I don't know, because why did my PET scan glow like a Christmas tree? I had so many other
I just want to interrupt 1 second. I'm sorry to do it, but there's just an article that came out about 2 days ago, and people have been talking for the longest time about Lyme disease, whether it was something that was actually created by the government or not. But this is an article from 2 days ago from Newsweek, and the headline says, Pentagon may have released weaponized ticks that help spread Lyme disease. So that's pretty interesting.
Now, let me tell you
happening.
something. Yes, and I said that, and we've been saying that, and I also reposted that. I saw the same article. I camped on the east end of Long Island, which is right off, Plum Island is right off of the end of Long Island. I actually knew people who worked on Plum Island at one point because I worked out in Southampton. I also went camping in Lyme, Connecticut, or Mystic, Connecticut, which is right next to Lyme. It's right there. And that's when I caught a tick. And I know I've gotten bit again, but I specifically remember that one, and I couldn't save it because I was driving when I thought I had a pimple on my head, and I knew it wasn't when I saw a little tiny leg on my fingernail. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? You know, it wasn't a pimple, it was a tick. But I couldn't do, a single mom, I wasn't doing checks on myself. I was checking my boys carefully, but didn't check myself. And I got very sick after that. And I'm telling you, I got, my brain was messed up. I got like a meningitis. My heart, I got, in 2013, it was enlarged. Whether it was endocarditis, I don't know, but I have all these other things. And I had one thing after another, and the doctors lying to me, and me catching them. And that's the thing, catching them. And so... And
ultimately, what was the reason you were targeted?
Because I called them out on photoshopping radiology images. And
now, let me just ask a follow-up, and I'll shut the heck up because I'm interrupting my butt off. But do you think they're doing this to everybody with these photoshopping stuff? Or do you think some, and you're just one of the few that's caught on?
In New York, on Long Island, and in New York City, yes. In Connecticut, I have not caught them photoshopping. They're just so arrogant and obnoxious because they're Yale, or they went to Yale, or they work for Yale, that they're just obnoxious and arrogant, and they will mock you and talk down to you and say, you're stupid, you don't know anything, you're not a doctor. But in New York, they will actually go out of their way to Photoshop. That's my experience. I don't know anybody else's experience, but that's my experience, and I have the very hardcore proofs. If I will be putting that together someday, as well as a book. I will be, but the other thing is too, I don't know why when I went to Stony Brook and I fractured my ankle, my distal fibula, and I also fell on my hip, and I fractured my pelvis. And it says on the X-ray report that I have a crushed pelvis on 3 views of the X-rays that they took. This was a couple months later. I said, I have so much pain. And then the final result conclusion was that I have no fracture. Well, how could I have a crushed pelvis on 3 views with no fracture? That's what a fracture is. But they never told me. So then I'm told all these other things. Oh, you have bursitis. You have this, and and then they falsified charges. They said that they drained it when they gave me an injection in my hip. They didn't drain anything, but they charged my company for it. They were racking up the bills. I think a lot of what they were doing is catching up with themselves and trying to cover up for things that they kept missing. They never treated me for the Lyme disease.
Okay, and it's an issue of, see, I'm saying the pieces come together. You have an issue. They have an opportunity to rack up fraudulent diagnoses. So there's a lot of insurance fraud there, and then there's the huge issue of the real issue, and they can misdiagnose you and treat you and kill you faster, make lots of money off of you, and it's next.
At that
Who's next in
time,
line?
I was on
Bingo,
Medicaid.
bingo, bingo,
I
bingo.
was
There
on
it is.
Medicaid.
There it is.
And I was not on private insurance, so everything was like getting approved. And
Okay,
so
well,
they
hold
were
on. We're
racking
gonna
up bills.
go to break. Hold on, Joyce. We're going to go to break, and we'll pick right back up there.
Get the address to the gym. You know, everything is not for everybody. You know, you couldn't last a day in my shoes. A lot of these cats, I wish they just would get the address to the gym. You know, everything is not for everybody.
Yes. And it's still the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show, and I'm still your host, V. Now, before we hop back into this, I've got to do my own little commercial here. I'm told I don't spread my media around enough. I am the primary host for the Truthtainment TV network. Having other hosts come onto the show. I've been training hosts and getting with other media people as well. My documentaries. You can find the uncensored version. I could send you to the YouTube, but I'm not going to do that to you guys. I'm going to give you the uncensored version. You can go to facebook.com/targeted individuals documentaries. That's plural, targeted individuals documentaries. And all the issues that we talk about on the show, as far as targeted individuals are concerned, most of it you'll be able to see on my documentaries, especially when it comes to the Morgellons disease, which I think is something ultimately is affecting people who say they have Lyme's disease. I think it may be sort of an activator or something to further the transhumanistic agenda with all the chemtrails, because all of our bodies are saturated with these nanoparticulates that are being sprayed on us every day. So there's an issue going on with this so-called Lyme disease and Morgellons disease. The frequency, cell tower bombardment, and the chemtrails. It's all tied together. You can find the bulk of the answers on my documentaries. So please, facebook.com/target individuals documentaries. And I want to go ahead and also say that Joyce, another reason why my interview with her on the Red Pill Hardcore TV show was not released was because I actually had promised her that we would record the show on Targeted when I had my new host to that TV show, which was going to be Bill the Butcher and Ted, Dr. Ted, and to go through these issues with you, because there's some issues there that need to be addressed by, especially someone who's been in the medical field, like Dr. Ted. So I don't want to do so much of a spoiler alert with that, but I really think that we can get deeper into the issues here. But for now, we're going to let Bill get acclimated to your situation. So, Bill, if you have any questions for it, go ahead.
Yes, George, first of all, thank you for coming on. Ted is my business and writing partner. He recently had some heart problems. That's why he had to fade back, but he is coming back. He is a clinical psychologist and has extensive experience. He has worked with children from Mount Carmel after David Koresh and that bunch burned up, and God knows what else and everything. And I really want him to talk with you. But Will asked the question that I was asking is, why did they target you in the first place? But as the interview progressed, I noticed something, excuse me, that I see a lot. And in fact, I'm seeing it personally right now. If you accept the fact that the doctors are not CIA or FBI or anything, they're just doctors, they have to have a motive for what they're doing. And their motive is money.
Right.
And so the more things they find wrong with you, then the better it is for them. And it's like my granddaughter Puck, she was paying, I guess, $68,000 a month to stay into a treatment center over here in Texas and everything. And as long as the money flowed, she was getting crazier and crazier and crazier and everything. But as the money ran out, her prognosis and diagnosis improved dramatically. In fact, she's coming home next week, and she's going to live here at the house with me. I think that a lot of your problems, now, the Lyme disease thing, I do understand, and that's a very real thing. But they were digging for what's wrong with Joyce to the point of having to Photoshop your results. You know, well, what do we got here? Well, we got a perfectly healthy young woman that had Lyme disease. Oh, my God, we got to work on that. She's going to have this, and this.
Well,
and then
they ignored the Lyme disease. They didn't diagnose it, but they missed it. But this problem is Stony Brook University, where I started going for testing, is supposedly one of the capital places for investigating. It's close to Plum Island. It's on Long Island. So what's going on with that, right? They don't want to treat it? Like, hello? So...
Well, what they're doing, and I'm convinced, and I'm going to ask Ted about this. He's getting better, by the way. He was doing a lot better today. He will be coming on.
Good.
He would delve into the psychology part of it, which is deep. But the main thing is I'm listening to your voice, and I'm listening to the way you're controlling yourself and everything. And I can't imagine you being that ill a woman. So I'm seeing a bunch of doctors that are, like we would say in Texas, they're on the tick. And the more they find wrong with Joyce, the more money they make. That is the reason you're targeted right there.
I was very sick. I was very, very sick. I remember I couldn't think. I couldn't make a decision to like what to eat. I could watch a movie 10 times in a row, the same movie all day long.
Well,
I could feel my brain inside my skull.
That's what we need.
Let's go back to the start of this. You had a pregnancy. Now, from the way I remember it, the first time.
That wasn't the start. That was actually after already CPS got involved with me, and then that's when I caught them doing what they were doing to me, and that proved
but that's what I'm saying. Well, you did have, in fact. Well, hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on. You did, in fact. I'm sorry, Bill. But Joyce, you had this pregnancy, but you have this other illness, possible cancers, and this sort of thing.
Yes.
The money is not with the pregnancy. The money is with the cancer and anything else that they can diagnose you with. Now, in order for you to continue on with the pregnancy, you would have to be on dying treatment.
To protect themselves. Because if I'm a sane person with a credible testimony, I have a better malpractice case, especially with conspiracy and tort and, because they're all doing it together against the hospital system that I was in, because it's all monopolized now. I have medical records from the cardiologist that I went to, and before they all went digital in the United States, I think 2011 they were supposed to go, or 2000 and whatever, 12 or whatever, they all had to be digital, or they had to turn over to digital by a certain date. And so I had hard copy records at that point in 2011, 2012 copied from my chart, and it wasn't digital yet. It was going on to digital, but it wasn't digital yet. And so the woman copied the doctor's correspondence letters with the rest of the. Now this usually you don't get with your medical record when you have them printed out. Now you have them printed out. They just send you a short form. They don't even give you what the doctor's thinking. But I got everything. And
Okay,
I saw in these letters,
hold on.
listen, these letters were written to my primary doctor. I found out that they were brother-in-laws. And it had a whole bunch of other stuff that I wasn't told. That wasn't even in my chart.
Okay, so I want to ask the engineer, please, let's get the last break, and I want Bill to continue.
Yeah.
Okay. The main thing I missed. Excuse me. I heard you. Darn, Texas. I apologize. You mentioned CPS. How deep into the CPS? How deep into your business is the CPS right now?
I got them out of my business, but I had lost. I gave guardianship to my brother to avoid having terminated parental rights, which right now it's not even like I have parental rights because he's 300 miles away, and my brother and I are not on good terms. So
there's your problem, Joyce. There's your problem right there. There's your problem right there.
Right.
There it is. There it is. You're saying your family wasn't standing with you. Well, there's your apple right there. No,
right. My family was not standing with me.
I'm saying your family's not standing with you. You've got a brother that's got custody of your child, and all of a sudden, your life goes to crap. Well, there's your problem right there.
Right. My brother is a lieutenant colonel, retired.
Yeah. Oh, really? What division? Army, Navy?
Yes. Air Force. He was in charge of 9/11 for the first two weeks. Ground Zero.
Oh boy.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Holy smoke.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you, I can tell you a lot more. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And he sticks to the narrative.
I'm digging here. So the
Will,
CPS
Will, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, go ahead, Will.
We're talking about CPS now. You brought it up. So, Will, what are you thinking right now?
Well, at first I was pretty satisfied with your answer of the reason that you may be targeted, but then the fact that you're bringing up your brother and the whole 9/11 thing, and then of course with the CPS, you see it everywhere. One of the other questions I had too was, let me guess, you can't find a good lawyer to take your case because I've dealt with so many people from whistleblowers in the Department of Health, DCYF, CPS people, whistleblowers in the food bank, and nobody can find a lawyer. But yeah, I mean, I'm very interested to hear a little more about that whole 9/11 connection. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, Joyce, go on about that 9/11 thing. Go on about the 9/11 thing because I know some stuff about that. Go ahead.
Well, he was activated a lot of times for different things. He works. You see, this is the interesting thing. He is an environmental/civil engineer. Okay. He was in the reserves. So he was activated. So he didn't have anything to do with the actual happenings, I'm believing, of what happened. But logic and common sense tells you, and you're an engineer, 2 planes don't bring down those 2 buildings. I mean, come on. We have thousands of architects and engineers who will tell you that this didn't happen. I could even tell you that, and I'm not an engineer. And, of course, I'm crazy to him because I'm a conspiracy theorist. Right? He wants to believe the narrative. I almost think he wants to believe it, or he has to believe it. He has to have this cognitive dissonance, or he will have a breakdown because he knows the crime that was committed. Deep down, I don't think he could admit it. That's what my theory.
Joyce, gentlemen, we have just identified. I asked her why was there after her. We have just identified that it's the brother who's the colonel with 9/11. She is a conspiracy theorist, so they have to neutralize her. So Joyce has to be crazy.
Yes, I'm crazy. And so going back, I don't know if you want to go back to the PET scans. I have recorded the doctor's visits, and I have recorded. First, I had a PET scan done with North Shore LIJ, which is now called New Health or Northwell or whatever the hell it's called on Long Island. They own many of the hospitals or control many of the hospitals in New York City and Long Island. I don't know, like 100, some crazy number like that. So I had a PET scan done with them, and that's the ones that I caught photoshopping. I showed my doctor. They didn't do what the doctor ordered, head to toe. They did neck to pelvis or to thigh, upper thigh. And
How long ago was this?
Going all over. This was done in 2013, February of 2013.
And you had the forethought to record.
Yes, because of
This is what I'm talking about,
this was
people.
the PET scan. Well, yes, this was the PET scan, and then 2 months later, because I showed my doctor that they didn't follow the prescription. I said, this is what they did on my images. They gave you a result, but they didn't do the images that they were supposed to do, and I think they were cheating on it. I went to Columbia Presbyterian in New York City to get them repeated. When you turn on the disc, the same things glow. So it wasn't artifact. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't something, but it didn't look any worse, but it looked the same. The same areas were glowing that shouldn't be glowing, or I don't know, but it was, a Christmas tree. So then I went to Columbia. I found a primary doctor there. I said, look, I said, I need to know why I glow like a Christmas tree. According to your, radiology people, I said, they say there's nothing wrong. Explain it to me. And I have it recorded. And if you want to hear what they said to me, I have it recorded. You can listen to it.
Do you have that ready?
I don't know if you want me to play anything. Yeah, I can scroll right to it.
If you can
while
cue it up
while
right
you
now,
scroll,
sure.
I just wanted to ask you: were you always a conspiracy theorist, or was it something along this trail of events that turned you?
No, all of this opened my eyes. I was not always a conspiracy. I just did my thing. I was a mom. I was a Cub Scout leader. What did I do? I sang in church. I would watch the news. And I was like, when I was young, I would watch current events. I mean, I didn't know.
That is a term that I hate. Okay, now if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're the guy that has the board, the cork board, and you've got pictures, articles, strings, and thumbtacks.
Yeah, no, I
spider
don't know
web
the
of
answers.
things.
I just know that I'm being lied to.
Then there are people who are awakened, people who come from awake to being truthers. Now, I consider myself a conspiracy expert. That's because I study the stuff. I study what is known to be a fact.
I'm just an analyst, but I don't know the answer.
Right. So if you've got that recording queued up.
Yeah, here it is. Okay,
please.
So here is Columbia Presbyterian telling me why my PET scan glows like a Christmas tree.
Okay, Joyce, I'm sorry. That's just not coming through clear enough, but I tell you what.
I'm hoping that, I wanted to have some kind of answer to whatever's going on. Because the end of the summer, I really do have a lot of things. But what I'm telling you is, most likely the answer is going to be, we have no answer. And I don't know what's going on. I want somebody to go physically. Most likely the answer is, we have no answer. I'll give you an example. My cardiologist said you have a strong heart, but my neurologist, he sees a quick picture that I had, and he was like, what's going on with your heart? And then I got this office note from the cardiologist, and he said, there's a step, and I'm like, all right, maybe this is a business step, but, that's to take your life into your hands. Well, I need somebody to take care of me. I need a doctor to my doctor when I'm medical leave. My good doctor. He's like, Joyce, no, you have stuff going on. Your bilirubin is off, your creatinine is off, whatever. Let's go to this done with that. And I'm okay. I'm like, yeah, it's good because my blood pressure's going to go up and all. And then she's going to write me. And then I'm going to new doctor. I'm going to take them. I'm going to look through this. Again, I'm going to prepare you for the most likely answer. Most likely, let me know. Let me think. The most likely answer is we don't have a diagnosis for you. And the most likely path for you to gain health is to recognize that healthy eating, meditation, exercise, strengthening your mind is going to be your path. It's up to you whether you want to choose that path or not. So you said, I don't know kind of person. I'm sorry to say true. I do those things. I eat healthy. I exercise up until I started to be sick. I was trying to teach my grandparents. I was surrounded until I broke my ankle. This is not me. This is not me. I'm very spiritual with those things. I mean, it's very possible that we look at this and say, hey, we got to do this. And that's the case. I feel prepared to go there. There's a very good chance that that's not going to be right. And I want to ask you, what should you do that? Because I think it's very important I see cases like this to be clear at the onset of what we're willing to do and what we're not.
I'll just stop it there. It's like a case like this, and we don't know why this happens to some people, and their bodies go against themselves. That's what they were telling me.
Okay. Now, I guess it's my amateur mistake.
That's the explanation for the PET scan that glows like a Christmas tree.
Joyce, I'm next time, I'm going to have you give the audio to my engineer because I'm pretty sure some people out there did not understand some of that. But
I'm sorry, but 3 weeks later I was in the psych unit.
And that is where we are going to pick up on the next episode, tomorrow night, because that is the thing that really infuriates me, and Will knows this infuriates me. Guantanamo Bay. Yes, guys, tomorrow night we are going to dig further into this. And there are so many more issues, and we're going to still do the TV show with you and all that because there's just so much more. The more you talk, the more that there is to dig into.
Oh my God! My case is so huge.
I've got to run over to Temple tomorrow. I'm probably going to drop by and see Ted. And if I can have him call in, I would love him to listen to Joyce. Now, Joyce, he is a clinical psychologist, okay? He won't pull any punches, and he'll give you the straight of it.
No, I get it.
Okay. Good.
No. Joyce is going to be on targeted. That's what I'm talking about. So that's not quite necessary.
Yeah.
I had been waiting for Ted to get better because she was supposed to be your guys' first guest.
I understand.
But for now, I want you guys to kick out. Well, first, the guest.
I have an entire session recorded from a psychiatrist that was warning me to stay away from doctors.
Okay, but Joyce, listen. I'm going to need you to listen to my voice. Okay.
Yes.
Just stop there. But for right now, show's winding down. Show's going to be over here in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I want you to, if you got a website, Facebook page, or anything like that, people can visit.
I guess you can hear. You might want to listen to before you hear the whole. The rest of the show, the actual procedure that I recorded while I was knocked out when I was supposed to be sedated. You can hear them saying I was supposed to be sedated, and then they knocked me out. They say my name, my heart beats a little. They say my name again, and then they went to it. And that's at Medical Malpractice on YouTube. Medical Malpractice, Joyce's Story, #8. I have it in a couple of places, but that's the only one I remember off the top of my head. Medical malpractice, Joyce's story, #8. And that has the entire recording of what they did to me.
Okay.
Now,
That's
there's
good.
a few, I did narrate, I did do a transcript of it. I made a couple of errors, but for the most part, it's all there.
Okay. Well, thank you. And for my co-host, anything last minute?
Yeah, Google Rhode Island General Assembly and send emails to the senators and the state reps here. It's very easy. Send them a phone call and ask them about the missing kids here locally. I'd love you guys to do that.
And Joyce, thank you for your input. I want to get deeper into this. I'm going to meet with Dr. Ted tomorrow and figure out what's going on with your case. God bless you and keep trying.
Thank
and
you.
We're with you, Joyce. We're with you.
Thank you. It took a long time for somebody to actually listen, and I appreciate the voice that you're giving me in the platform. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And thank you. And
That's
I
part
want
of
to
the
say to the
healing,
audience.
is the validating.
Yes, yes. And I want to say to the audience, please, when the government is surveillancing you, it's not just the government, it's these institutions, it's everyone to your phone provider, your internet provider. If you've got a device in your apartment, you've got a cell tower within a mile of you, you've got drones out there, okay, you're under surveillance. So you need to be in a counter-surveillance society, recording everything that happens to you when you deal with these institutions. So with that said, and the land of surveillance, the man with the third eye is king. So educate yourself. See you next time.